the world's largest forest, and it's becoming a battleground. These crosses represent 752 people killed in land conflicts in Brazil's north since the 1970s. Death now hangs over the Amazon like its forest canopy. And this 64-year-old nun may well be its next victim. Sister Leonora Brunetto only travels with police or bodyguards. She's received repeated death threats because of her work with landless peasants. Two of the men she works with were recently murdered.
A gente vê que foi pego de surpresa e além foi uma morte, como é que a gente diz, execução, porque eles estavam com as mãos para trás. Foi uma execução triste, né?
And this is the man she accuses of killing them. He's a local rancher who wants the peasants' land. He goes by the name of Black Hat, but he insists he's no villain.
Eu não conheço da irmã, não tenho nada contra ela, não conheço ela, não tenho conhecimento de nada dela. Ela, para mim, é uma pessoa religiosa, uma pessoa que merece respeito.
E sabemos que ele tem muitas mortes, né? Tanto ele como outros também, Leonísio Lemos e outros fazendeiros aí muito perigosos. A gente sabe que foi pego armas de fogo nas suas fazendas e que eles continuam impunes e continuam soltos, né?
Conflicts like this are being fought all over the Amazon. On one side are impoverished peasants trying to scratch a living from small plots of land. On the other, big ranchers trying to claim the Amazon for themselves. It's a battle that will determine not just the future of the forest, but of the millions who live here.
A violência, as mortes, são 6 mortes já acontecidas nesse acampamento, né? E eles estão resistindo. Então, quem está aqui é porque realmente quer terra, né? E não tem também aonde mais cair morto também, né?
Brazil's Catholic Church has long sided with the poor peasants, arguing their small farms don't endanger the Amazon. Nuns like Sister Leonora have tried to stand up to the big farmers trying to seize their land. This camp is part of a network of church-run settlements encouraging peasants to fight for their rights. If not for Sister Leonora, most of them would have fled long ago.
Só que é muito difícil, viu, gente? A gente enfrentar barraco 24 horas no pintura, né? Fumaça, você doente, em busca de um pedacinho de terra para criar os filhos, é muito difícil. E é muito triste.
The families in this camp moved here from the slums of Brazil's big cities after the federal government promised to grant them 16,000 hectares. But they were forced off by local ranchers who produced titles to the land, titles the families claim were forged. And that's the problem here. Nobody can be quite sure of who owns what land. The Amazon has been settled so quickly and haphazardly that few people have secure title to their plots of land, and all risk having it seized by farmers and ranchers in league with corrupt officials. There is a violence and lawlessness here that is killing the Amazon and the weak and defenceless people who call it home. Until recently, most of northern Brazil was virgin rainforest. White settlers farmed around the Amazon River and its tributaries, but there was no way into the vast interior, where the only inhabitants were indigenous tribes. Then, in the 1970s, Brazil's military government decided to colonise the Indians' land. It built thousands of kilometres of dirt roads into the jungle. The Indians were displaced into squalid settlements, and the Amazon land grab began.
In some areas, there's almost no forest left. It's really shocking that absolutely cleared for kilometers and kilometers.
To see just how much has been destroyed, we flew over the forest with the environmental group Greenpeace.
Some areas you wouldn't imagine that.
Carlos Rittel has been monitoring land clearing for giant soy and cattle farms. Within minutes, we found clearings of up to 10,000 hectares, the size of small towns.
In that area,
And all of it had been clear-felled illegally.
Soy production in Brazil. There is no legal ownership of the land.
So people are going in and clearing massive fields, totally illegal.
Absolutely. Most of deforestation is occurring in public lands.
Few developers are ever fined for clearing public land. When they are, it's usually a small dent in their profits.
A fine is, it could be considered an operational cost for them, because if they would pay that, would be much less than the profit they take from the destruction.
Like the Catholic Church, Greenpeace supports peasants and Indians building small, sustainable farms in the Amazon. But it believes the huge areas being cleared by rich farmers, often with the blessing of corrupt officials, are destroying the forest. In just 3 decades, 15% of the Amazon has been cleared. An area of devastation the size of France.
They don't respect nothing, not even the streams. They should keep at least 30 meters each side of the streams with forest. They deforest everything.
But big cattle farmers like Alberto Cesario bristle at suggestions they've vandalised the land. He sees himself as a pioneer, opening up a region he loves for the benefit of Brazil.
Sim, a região tem clima espetacular, se produz bastante e é bom negócio, sim. E o pessoal, os brasileiros, precisam dessa região para sobreviver, principalmente as famílias que vieram para cá.
Mr. Cesario represents the ranchers who Sister Leonora accuses of stealing the peasants' land. He admits that Black Hat is part of his group, but denies they've made any threats.
Eu conheço Chapéu Preto, tem já nome folclórico por causa do chapéu preto, mais coisa que ele não usa o chapéu mais o chapéu preto. Ele é produtor rural muito bom, produz bastante e também ele não ameaçou a irmã. Agora ele sim, ele levou uns tiros e a mando dos supostos sem terra dela, né?
We caught up with Black Hat in the nearby town of Peixoto de Azevedo. It's a frontier truck stop and a former gold mine, where men have long meted out their own form of rough justice. Many are believed to be pistoleros, hired gunmen for the local ranchers. Black Hat, whose real name is Sebastião Neves de Almeida, is one of the town's most notorious residents. He once spent 2 years on the run after police charged him with keeping slaves on his ranch. He told us the landless peasants were telling lies about him because of his reputation.
Não. Não tem conhecimento com eles, não tem união. Mas eu tive um problema na Justiça Federal, problema de trabalhador, que me botaram na lista de trabalhador escravo. Foi aí que a irmã colocou os pessoal, esse trabalhador sem terra, na região.
In the cab, they tell a different story.
Eu estava na frente do barraco, aí parou o carro, né, do chapéu preto, com o chapéu preto, e um suplente vereador, e falou: ah, você tá aí, né, rapaz? Nós vamos vir aqui, vamos expulsar todos vocês daí, e você... aí o chapéu preto falou: e você cuidado, a hora que você estiver indo para a cidade, você cuidado comigo, hein? Tenha bastante cuidado.
Sister Leonora claims local police have refused to investigate the threats. Federal police accompany her when she visits the camp, but she's turned down an offer of full-time protection until the landless people are given the same guarantee. Instead, she tries to stay one step ahead of the gunman, only visiting her house to pray and pick up clothes.
Olha, a gente está aqui porque é um grito do povo pobre que não tem ninguém por eles, né? O Evangelho manda, Jesus fez isso, da gente olhar quem está gritando. E eu estou aqui trabalhando, ajudando esse povo, e por isso é uma ameaça para os grandes...
Ever since the roads were built in the 1970s, they've spread development and bloodshed. We travelled hundreds of kilometres along the main Amazon highway, BR-163. It's little more than a muddy dirt track. There aren't even bridges over the rivers that crisscross the region. Every car and truck has to be shipped across by barge. But as primitive as this road is, it's already changed the Amazon forever. Every few kilometres there were more dirt roads leading off to more cleared areas and more farms. Every town had timber mills sawing up the remains of rainforest. And almost every town had landless peasants living in fear. At Anapu, near the Amazon River, we found a community in mourning for a murdered American nun. Sister Dorothy Stang was shot dead a year earlier on the orders of a local rancher. She too had been helping the landless to build up small, sustainable farms. At this memorial service, they tried to celebrate her achievements and hope her work would not be in vain. But others have since received death threats, including the town priest, Father Jose Amaro. He told us he felt no comfort from the strong police presence outside the church.
As pessoas se sentem seguras. Confiar na polícia, Deus o livre. Somente aqui na Polícia do Estado, que é a Polícia Civil, que eles só vêm para reprimir trabalhador. Então, essa polícia que negou segurança para a Dorothy, negou segurança para os trabalhadores. E hoje que é essa polícia que está investigando o caso. Então confiar em quem? Em Deus.
To show just how little protection they have, Father Amaro led a graphic demonstration in a field beside Dorothy Stang's grave. They planted a white cross for each person killed in land conflicts here. Few of their murderers have ever been jailed. The 68 red crosses represent the number now living under threat of death.
Vai continuar do jeito que está ou vai morrer mais gente? A Dorothy teve que dar vida, outras pessoas teve que dar vida, companheiros que poderiam estar hoje aqui conosco, está foragido, como bandido. Isso é uma vergonha para nós.
The federal politician trying to sort out the mess knows only too well the terror facing such communities. Marina Silva was born in a poor Amazon village and raised by nuns. She became a green activist, working with the union leader Chico Menges when he was murdered for defending rural workers in 1988.
Eu convivi com ele desde os 17 anos. A violência contra ele foi uma violência contra o que eu fazia junto com ele.
In 2003, she was appointed Minister for the Environment in the new left-wing government of President Lula. She insists progress is being made.
Eu quero colocar com muita tranquilidade que estamos fazendo coisas estruturantes. É como fazer saneamento básico, eu não sei se dá para entender isso, né? O saneamento básico você não vê, e as pessoas não veem imediatamente, mas faz uma diferença muito grande, porque são coisas estruturantes. Estamos fazendo coisas que vão ficar na história da política ambiental do Brasil.
But the slow pace of change has frustrated her former colleagues.
Os problemas não são resolvidos porque tem a ministra, é a cabeça, mas o corpo, a banda podre está lá dentro. Ela tem muita boa vontade, mas quando chega no orçamento do governo, né, aquela corja, podemos dizer assim, de canalha está lá dentro e que não deixa ela trabalhar.
The community fears it's now facing an even bigger wave of land grabs. The federal government has approved plans to upgrade the main road BR-163, making it the first paved highway through the Amazon. For truck drivers like Mario Maniotto, it's long overdue.
O estado dela é precário, porque é muito perigo aí, né? Muito lugares dificultosos e a gente passa muitos problemas aí. Às vezes, que nem essa noite passada, fiquemos um atoleiro ali atrás, ali fiquemos a noite inteira ali parado. Então a gente passa muitos problemas aí. Agora também pode ver que...
In the wet season, it can take him several weeks to drive the often impassable dirt track to the Amazon river port of Santarém. Sometimes he has to literally dig his way through. Even the announcement the road would be paved caused a frenzy of land clearing, as developers rushed in to claim land beside the highway. The federal government estimates deforestation rose 500%. Environmentalists claim it will explode once the road is paved.
If the government doesn't take control of the area, this will be an absolute disaster for the region, for the communities, for everybody. Everybody will lose.
The project has powerful backers. One of Brazil's biggest and potentially richest industries is soy farming, producing cheap cattle feed for European markets. A fast and cheap export route would allow Brazilian farmers to compete with soy producers in the US. Big farmers like Carlos Prevadello insist it's essential to revive Brazil's exports.
O governo brasileiro nos der condições de produzir, nos subsidiar, nos dá subsídio, em poucos anos a safra brasileira bate recorde mundial, porque nós temos quantos milhões de hectares ainda para ser aberto e ser explorado.
There's no doubt Brazil needs development. The problem is how it's carried out in a region where corruption is endemic and many politicians are themselves big developers. The state governor, Blairo Maggi, is also the world's single biggest soy producer. He declined to be interviewed for this story.
Since he was elected governor of Mato Grosso, the deforestation in the state increased a lot. From 2003 to 2004, we had more than 1 million hectares of forests destroyed only in Mato Grosso state, and he wants to have more soy.
Marina Silva has been caught between this strong agricultural lobby and a vocal campaign by environmentalists. She's proposed creating 15 million hectares of reserve land along the highway to stop more clearing and to crack down on the violence that's claimed so many victims.
Longe de vulnerabilizar as comunidades, ela vai fortalecer as comunidades porque elas vão ter acessos a bens e serviços que antes não eram alcançados e as suas áreas vão poder também estar protegidas porque elas já foram criadas por lei, por decreto do presidente da República.
Com licença, meus amigos, pessoal do interior.
But time is running out in communities like this landless camp, where Sister Leonora continues to urge them to keep the faith.
Porque o coitado faleceu ali, que nem aconteceu aquela assassina ali, quem sabe quem?
Me pergunto se eu tenho coragem de pegar um ônibus sozinha.
A senhora ainda mais pior, irmã. A senhora tá pior ainda, porque a senhora anda no Brasil inteiro, entendeu? Esses coitados daqui a ali tem que ir emaniado, daqui para ir ali tem que ir maniado e desarmado.
Few can see an end to this long-running war, in which the rule of the gun has always been stronger than the rule of law. They came here to build new lives for their families, but their hopes have been cut down with the forest around them.